Imagine living underground in a tropical jungle for 27 years. No electricity, no medicine, almost no human contact. Your clothes are handmade from tree fibers. Your food comes from rivers, traps, and whatever you can find in the jungle. Frogs, toads, eels, rats. And every night, you move through the darkness, terrified that someone might discover you. This was not a survival experiment. This was the real life of a Japanese soldier named Shoichi Yokoi. And when he was finally discovered on Guam in 1972, World War II had been over for more than 26 years. Shoichi Yokoi was born in Japan in 1915. Before the war, he worked as a tailor. That seemingly ordinary skill would later become one of the reasons he survived for so long. During World War II, Yokoi served as a sergeant in the Imperial Japanese Army. In 1944, he was stationed on Guam. Japan had occupied the island since 1941, but in July and August of 1944, American forces returned. The Battle of Guam was devastating for the Japanese defenders. Thousands were killed, others were captured, but some soldiers refused to surrender. Japanese military culture had taught them that being captured alive was deeply shameful. Yokoi disappeared into the jungle. At first, he was not alone. Several Japanese soldiers survived by hiding in caves and remote parts of the island. They avoided roads, they avoided villages, they avoided fires during the day because smoke could reveal their position. Their entire lives became focused on one thing: staying hidden. Over time, most of the Japanese holdouts were captured or killed, but Yokoi remained. Deep in the jungle near Talofofo, he built an underground shelter. It was small, only a few feet high. The entrance was hidden so carefully that someone could walk nearby without realizing a man was living beneath the ground. Inside, Yokoi created a remarkable little world. He made shelves, he made containers, he built traps. He even created a primitive toilet. And because he had once been a tailor, he made his own clothes from natural fibers and scraps. He made needles from metal. He made buttons from discarded plastic. Almost everything he owned was handmade. But the hardest problem was food. Yokoi had to survive entirely from what he could find. He caught shrimp and fish. He ate river eels. He trapped rats. He ate frogs and toads. He gathered coconuts, papayas, and breadfruit. He also learned how to prepare local nuts that could be toxic if eaten incorrectly. Food was never guaranteed. Every day was a hunt for calories. Every meal was part of a survival calculation. But hunger was only one danger. Guam was hot, wet, and filled with insects. Tropical storms could destroy shelter. Humidity could ruin equipment. An infection that would normally be treated with medicine could become deadly. And yet, Yokoi survived year after year. Eventually, he became separated from the remaining Japanese soldiers. For years, his only companions had been two other holdouts. Then, around the mid-1960s, those two men died. Yokoi found their bodies and buried them. After that, he was truly alone. Years passed. He watched the world from a distance. Aircraft flew overhead. New roads appeared. Vehicles moved across the island. And occasionally, he found newspapers or other evidence that Japan had lost the war. This is where Yokoi's story becomes especially strange. He eventually understood that World War II had ended, but he still refused to come out. Why? Fear and shame. For Japanese soldiers of his generation, surrender could be seen as dishonorable. Yokoi feared being captured. He feared returning home as a soldier who had failed. So even after he knew the war was over, the jungle still felt safer than surrender. Then came January 24th, 1972. Yokoi was checking a bamboo trap near the Talofofo River. Two local men spotted him. Yokoi panicked. After nearly 3 decades of hiding, he suddenly found himself face to face with other human beings. He tried to resist, but he was weak. The two men overpowered him. For the first time in 27 years, Yokoi's life in hiding was over. He was taken to local authorities. People were shocked by what they saw. He was thin, barefoot. His clothes were handmade. His equipment looked like something from another era. And in a way, it was. The world around him had entered the 1970s. But Yokoi had spent most of his adult life living as if it were still the final days of World War II. Inside his shelter, investigators found handmade tools, traps, containers, and clothing. His old rifle was rusted and useless. He had preserved it because he hoped one day to return it to Japan. When Yokoi finally returned home, in February 1972, he received enormous attention. Crowds gathered to see him. To many Japanese, he became a symbol of endurance. But Yokoi himself did not speak like a triumphant hero. Instead, he expressed embarrassment. He felt ashamed that he had returned alive after failing to fulfill the military expectations of his generation. His famous reaction reflected just how deeply wartime ideas of honor and surrender had shaped him. Yet perhaps the most incredible part of Yokoi's story was not that he survived. It was how he survived. For 27 years, he adapted to one of the most unforgiving environments imaginable. He built shelter underground. He made his own clothing. He created tools from trash. He trapped rats. He caught fish and eels. He ate frogs and toads. He learned which jungle plants were safe. And he survived years of isolation with almost no contact with the outside world. When he finally emerged in 1972, the war he had once fought was already history. Men had walked on the moon. Television was common. Japan had become one of the world's major economic powers. And yet, hidden beneath the jungle floor on Guam, Shoichi Yokoi had been living almost exactly as he had in 1944. His story is more than a strange World War II footnote. It is a story about survival, fear, isolation, and the extraordinary power of military conditioning. For most people, World War II ended in 1945. For Shoichi Yokoi, life in the war's shadow lasted another 27 years, until one ordinary day in January 1972, when two men walked into the jungle and found a soldier from another age.